Good morning to everybody. This is Rutlin Ortiz, your senior industrial nurse. Would like to welcome you all to my presentation that will tackle subject of the workplaces. Workplaces, as we all know, is now a growing area of concern in the overall COVID-19 response of the country. This presentation will provide practical tips for both the employer and the employees on the prevention of COVID-19 in the workplace. Let us use to make this opportunity to create a safe and productive working environment and to promote sustainable, healthy behaviors not only in our workplaces but also with our communities and homes. So our objectives for today's presentation, first is to identify the risk of getting infected or infecting others before going to work and traveling to work. Second is describe personal protective measures and individual responsibilities to reduce the risk of COVID-19 transmission. And lastly is the management of post-COVID-19 conditions. What is COVID-19? Coronavirus disease is an infectious disease caused by a newly discovered coronavirus. The COVID-19 virus spreads primarily through droplets of saliva or discharge from the nose when an infected person coughs or sneezes.
So, first is we need to understand how COVID-19 is transmitted. The most common cause of transmission of COVID-19 is by respiratory droplets. These are saliva and respiratory secretions expelled when an infected person coughs, sneezes, talks, or sings. So, kung tayo ay walang social distancing at hindi tayo nakasuot ng mask, malaki yung possibility na mahawa tayo. Next is aerosols. These are microscopic droplets that remain infectious when suspended in air over long distances and time. Ito po yung mga enclosed spaces without proper ventilation. Fomites, contaminated surfaces or objects. How long the coronavirus can live on surfaces? Paper and tissue paper 3 hours, copper 4 hours, cardboard 24 hours, wood 2 days, cloth 2 days, stainless steel 2 to 3 days, polypropylene plastic 3 days, glass 4 days, paper money 4 days, outside of surgical mask 7 days. Pangalawa ay importante nating malaman kung ano ba yung araw na ang isang infected person ay nakakahawa. We need to understand the clinical course of a COVID-19. So ano ba ang incubation period? Ang incubation period ay ang panahon sa pagitan ng pagka-expose sa infection at sa unang paglabas ng sintomas. According to WHO, the incubation period for COVID-19, which is the time between exposure to the virus and symptom onset, is on average of 5 to 6 days. However, it can be up to 14 days. This is followed by mild phase, which is around 5 to 10 days. Symptoms are fever, cough, fatigue or panghihina, muscle aches and pains, stomach discomfort and the sensation of wanting to vomit, and diarrhea. And it may progress to ARDS or acute respiratory distress syndrome. Symptoms are difficulty in breathing, hirap sa paghinga, rapid breathing, mabilis na paghinga, and low oxygen levels in the blood. Anong araw nakakahawa or pinaka nakakahawa ang isang taong infected? Ito ay 2 araw bago at 10 araw matapos magkaroon ng sintomas. That's why it is always better to stay in a side of caution, which means that we can consider ourselves and others to have the disease so that we all be cautious all the time. Now, we discuss about the risk for infection at home. Exposure coming into close contact with a household member who may be infected with COVID-19. Now, this is the question, paano ba tayo mahahawa kapag andun lang tayo sa loob ng bahay? We need to consider the risk of infection if, for example, we go out, we go to work because of essential things, we need to earn for a living, etc. We need to assess ourselves and other members of the family. Kung ang ating exposure ba outside the home is low risk, medium risk, or high risk. Low risk kapag wala tayong frequent na close contact with the general public. Medium risk kung ang ating trabaho ay palaging nakaharap sa client or sa general public. And high risk kapag may close contact tayo sa suspect and confirmed cases, like for example sa mga hospital settings. So we have to assess ourselves if we have taken the steps to avoid the transmission in the household by maintaining physical distancing, proper hand washing, respiratory etiquette, and etc. Applicable po ito kapag tayo ay nasa bahay, naka-work from home tayo, at kung tayo ay naka-home quarantine na mag-isolate po talaga tayo. Our fight against COVID-19 is everyone's responsibility. We all need to play our part in this.
Next is personal protective measures and other responsibilities of individuals. So we need to set household rules and reminders like practice physical distancing, wearing of masks, practice regular hand washing, respiratory etiquette, cleaning and disinfection of frequently touched surfaces, ensure good ventilation, set rules or precautionary measures for visitors and avoid gatherings, and if possible, designate a space for quarantine.
Your hands up close are anything but smooth. With peaks and valleys, folds and rifts, there are plenty of hiding places for a virus to stick. If you then touch your face, the virus can infect you. But there are two extraordinarily simple ways you can keep that from happening: soap and water and hand sanitizer. So, which is better? The coronavirus that causes COVID-19 is one of many viruses whose protective outer surface is made of a lipid bilayer. These lipids are pin-shaped molecules whose heads are attracted to water and tails are repulsed by it. So, in water-rich environments, lipids naturally form a shell like this, with the heads outside and the tails inside. Their shared reaction to water makes the lipids stick loosely together. This is called the hydrophobic effect. This outer structure helps the molecular machinery of the virus break through cellular membranes and hijack our cells. But it has thousands upon thousands of weak points where the right molecules could pry it apart. And this is where soap comes in. A single drop of any brand of soap contains quadrillions of molecules called amphiphiles, which resemble biological lipids. Their tails, which are similarly repulsed by water, compete for space with the lipids that make up the virus's shell. But they're just different enough to break up the regularity of the virus's membrane, making the whole thing come crashing down. Those amphiphiles then form bubbles of their own around particles including the virus's RNA and proteins. Apply water and you'll wash that whole bubble away. Hand sanitizers work less like a crowbar and more like an earthquake. When you surround a coronavirus with water, the hydrophobic effect gives the bonds within the membrane their strength. That same effect also holds the big proteins that form coronavirus's spikes in place and in the shape that enables them to infect your cells. If you dry the virus out in air, it keeps its stability, but now surround it with a high concentration of an alcohol, like the ethanol or isopropanol found in most hand sanitizers. This makes the hydrophobic effect disappear and gives the molecules room to move around. The overall effect is like removing all of the nails and mortar from a house and then hitting it with an earthquake. The cell's membrane collapses and those spike proteins crumble. In either method, the actual process of destroying the virus happens in just a second or two, but doctors recommend at least 20 seconds of hand washing because of the intricate landscape that is your hand. Soap and sanitizer need to get everywhere, including your palms, fingertips, the outsides of your hands, and between your fingers to protect you properly. And when it comes to a coronavirus outbreak, doctors recommend washing your hands with soap and water whenever possible. Even though both approaches are similarly effective at killing the virus, soap and water has two benefits. First, it washes away any dirt which could otherwise hide virus particles. But more importantly, it's simply easier to fully cover your hands with soap and water for 20 seconds. Of course, hand sanitizer is more convenient to use on the go. In the absence of a sink, use the sanitizer as thoroughly as possible and rub your hands together until they're dry. Unfortunately, there are billions of people who don't have access to clean drinking water, which is a huge problem at any time, but especially during an outbreak. Researchers and aid groups are working to provide solutions for these communities. One example is a device that uses salt, water, and a car battery to make chlorinated water that kills harmful pathogens and is safe for hand washing. So wherever possible, soap and water are recommended for a coronavirus. But does that mean it's best for every viral outbreak? Not necessarily. Many common colds are caused by rhinoviruses that have a geometric protein structure called a capsid instead of a lipid membrane. The capsid doesn't have nearly as many weak points where soap amphiphiles can pry it apart, so it takes longer for soap to be effective. However, some of its surface proteins are still vulnerable to the destabilizing effect of hand sanitizer. In this and similar cases, hand sanitizer may be more effective, especially if you then wash your hands to remove residual particles. The best way to know which to use for any given outbreak is to do what's best for all things illness-related. Follow the advice of accredited medical professionals.
Need help timing 20 seconds of hand washing? Start now. Wow, what nice clean hands you have. Oops, don't touch your face. You look well rested. Have you been stretching? Must be all that water you're drinking. Happy birthday to... I don't think we have the copyright on that. Well, happy birthday... I forget the words. Has it been 20 seconds yet?
Sub-Zero, Coronian. Fight. Sub-Zero wins.
Before going to work, ensure the availability of masks, hand sanitizers, assess yourself for symptoms and risks, and report to authorities when needed. We need also to do our self-assessment. The most common symptoms are the top 3: fever, dry cough, tiredness or pagkapagod, body pains, nasal congestion, headache, sore throat, diarrhea, loss of taste or smell. Importante ding malaman natin yung risk natin, like exposure to a confirmed or probable case, at yung history ng travel natin. Risk of infection during travel. 3 C's for COVID-19 spread. Ito po yung dapat nating iwasan, like crowded conditions with people, closed spaces with insufficient ventilation, conversation in short distances. In administrative and engineering controls, cancel or postpone non-essential travels, provide transportation if possible, ensure adequate physical distancing and install barriers when needed, open the windows, policies on proper mask wearing during transportation, provide hand sanitizers, routine cleaning and disinfection of vehicles is important. Meron din po tayong operational system for individual risk assessment and symptom screening before each workday and establish a system of self-reporting and referral. We have a workplace scenario. It's 10 a.m. Kim goes to the staff pantry to make herself a cup of coffee. There was no one in the pantry. While waiting for the kettle to boil, she pulls down her face mask so she can relax and breathe. So the question is taking your mask off in the workplace communal area, especially when there is no one around you, is absolutely safe? True or false? So the correct answer is absolutely false. Always wear your face mask to protect yourself and others, especially in the workplace communal areas. This is just a gentle reminder to everyone to be cautious about this. How to wear a medical mask safely. Do not use a rip or damp mask. Kapag basa or punit na yung mask, hindi na po pwedeng gamitin. Do not wear the mask only over the mouth or nose. Dapat completely covered po yung nose natin at huwag nating ibaba yung mask. Do not wear a loose mask. Do not touch the front of the mask kasi yun na po yung contaminated. And do not remove the mask to talk to someone or do other things that would require touching the mask. Do not leave your used mask within the reach of others. Do not reuse the mask. Remember that mask alone cannot protect you from COVID-19. Maintain at least 1 meter or 2 meters distance from others and wash your hands frequently and thoroughly even while wearing a mask. And to give a bit more illustration kung paano natin mabibreak ang chain of transmission, panoorin natin ang video na ito.
No matter where you live or who you are, each of us can help break the chains of COVID-19 transmission. Here's what you can do to protect yourself and others. Cover your cough and sneeze. Clean your hands frequently and thoroughly, especially before and after putting on a mask and going outside or coming home. Avoid crowded places and mass gatherings. Avoid touching surfaces in public as they might be contaminated by someone with the virus. Socialize at a distance. Stay at least 1 meter away from others as much as you can and wear a mask if you can't. If you feel even slightly unwell, stay home. Call your local health authorities and get tested. If you test positive, follow the recommendations from health authorities about how and where you should isolate from others and receive medical care if needed. Make a list of people you have recently been in contact with. Self-quarantine for 14 days if you have been in contact with anyone confirmed with COVID-19. Make sure you follow your local guidance. Each country or area has its own levels of transmission, resources, and recommendations, and the situation can change rapidly. The COVID-19 pandemic has changed the way we live, work, and connect with others. It is challenging, but together, we can break the chains of COVID-19 transmission.
Let's look at another communal space at work. It's 12 noon. Lina is looking forward to eating her baon. She prepared chicken, pork adobo at home and brought it with her to lunch. She decided to eat in the staff canteen. She uses her own cutlery to eat. After eating, she goes straight to her desk to rest before the starts working at 1 p.m. In this scenario, what should Lina do before proceeding to her desk? So the correct answer is she needs to practice thorough hand washing or disinfect her hands with soap and water or alcohol before going back to her desk. So we need to always remember that. Practicing hand and respiratory hygiene is important at all times and is the best way to protect others and yourself. When possible, maintain at least a 2 meters distance between yourself and others. The farther, the better. This is especially important if you are standing by someone who is coughing or sneezing. So we have also 3 C's to avoid in our workplace: crowded places with many people nearby, close contact settings, especially where people have close range conversations. Iwasan po natin ang mga to. And confined and enclosed spaces with poor ventilation. At ito po ang mga dapat nating gawin at tandaan. Iwasan nating pumunta sa mga matataong lugar at kulong na espasyo. I-maintain natin at least 1 meter or 2 meters distance from others. Kung posible, i-open natin yung mga windows natin. Keep our hands always clean and proper cough etiquette and always wear a mask. Next is the 5 pillars or 5 pundasyon ng ating response against COVID-19. These 5 pillars should be practiced. Dapat po lahat ay ginagawa natin. So first is prevention. By giving health information on minimum health standard about COVID-19, pwede rin tayong maglagay ng mga signages in our workplace to reduce the spread of infection. Next is detection. Dito na papasok yung contact tracing at yung coordination natin sa LGU. Next is isolation or quarantine kapag tayo ay direct contact or kapag tayo ay may symptoms ng COVID-19. Next is test para malaman natin kung tayo ba ay infected. And last is treatment. Ito na yung coordination or referral natin sa mga level 2 or level 3 hospitals. And meron din po tayong one hospital command. They can provide assistance kapag kailangan natin ng hospital. Paano natin malalaman pag tayo ay may sakit? Tayo ay magkakaroon ng lagnat o panginginig, ubo, kakulangan sa paghinga or hirap sa paghinga, pagkapagod, sakit sa kalamnan or sakit sa katawan, sakit sa ulo, pagkawala ng panlasa o pangamoy, namamagang lalamunan, sipon, pagsusuka at pagtatae. Hindi po ibig sabihin ay kailangang taglayin ang lahat ng to para masabing ikaw ay may COVID. Meron tayong 3 common na simptomas. Ito ay lagnat, ubo at pagkapagod. Meron din tayong tinatawag na asymptomatic na kung saan ay nag-positive sa COVID-19 pero walang sintomas. Next is what to do if you are sick. You need to go home and stay home plus consult your healthcare provider. This healthcare provider can be your barangay health worker or barangay health emergency response team, your family physician, workplace doctor or nurse. So why you are sick, you need to rest plus hydrate. This is the most important step. And pwede rin po tayong uminom ng warm lemon honey water. This serve as a cough syrup. And this is recommended by WHO. Avoid scary media. Doon lang po tayo sa mga reliable website gaya ng DOH at WHO. And stay connected with friends and loved ones. That will make you recover faster. And pwede ding uminom ng paracetamol for fever. And our body does the rest. There's no treatment for COVID. If we manage the symptoms, we will be fine. But we need to watch out for these serious symptoms. We need to seek immediate medical attention kapag meron tayong mga sintomas na to. Gaya ng hirap sa paghinga or kakulangan sa paghinga, pananakit ng dibdib, confusion or pagkalito, pagkahilo or hirap sa pagbangon, at pagkaputla. Ibig pong sabihin ng mga to ay mababa ang oxygen level natin sa ating katawan. COVID-19 causes low oxygen in the body and that's people die. Pwede din po tayong bumili ng pulse oximetry para ma-measure natin ang level ng oxygen sa ating dugo. Ang normal range nito ay 95% to 100%. Anything below 95% is an indicator of hypoxia or lack of oxygen. Home care for people with suspected or confirmed COVID-19. If you are ill with fever and cough, clean hands frequently with soap and water or with alcohol-based hand rub. Stay at home. Do not attend work, school or public places. Rest. Drink plenty of fluids and eat nutritious food. Stay in a separate room from other family members but if not possible, wear a medical mask and keep a distance of at least 1 meter from other people. Keep the room well ventilated and if possible, use a dedicated bathroom. When coughing or sneezing, cover mouth and nose with flex elbow or use disposable tissue and discard after use. If you experience difficulty breathing, call your healthcare facility immediately. So what is the responsibility of all members of the household? Wash hands with soap and water regularly, especially after coughing or sneezing, before, during, and after you prepare food, before eating, after using the toilet, before and after caring for the ill person, and when hands are visibly dirty. Avoid unnecessary exposure to the ill person and avoid sharing items such as eating utensils, dishes, drinks, and towels. When coughing or sneezing, cover mouth and nose with flex elbow or use a disposable tissue and discard immediately after use. Monitor everyone's health for symptoms such as fever, cough, and if difficult breathing appear, call your healthcare facility immediately. Lagi nating tandaan na bawal ang walang mask, isanitize ang mga kamay, dumistansya ng 1 o 2 metro, alamin ang tamang impormasyon, maging bida laban sa COVID. Tatalakayin naman natin ang detection at dito papasok ang contact tracing. Ano nga ba ang contact tracing? So what is contact tracing? It is the process of identifying, assessing, and managing people who have been exposed to a disease to prevent onward transmission. It is an essential health tool for controlling infectious disease outbreaks. It will break the chains of transmission of an infectious disease when systematically applied. Specific to COVID-19, this requires identifying person who may have been exposed to COVID-19 virus. So why do we contact trace the close contacts of COVID-19 cases? It is because they are high risk of becoming infected and infecting others. How do we contact trace? We can do it in 3 steps and we will discuss it on the next slide. When we contact trace, as soon as possible dapat. Who are these people we should be tracing? It can either be some of your family members, friends, community, and our work colleagues. How do we define a close contact? This is the definition lifted from DOH policy on contact tracing. First is face-to-face contact without PPE with a COVID-19 case within 1 meter and for more than 15 minutes. Second is direct physical contact with a COVID-19 case, meaning hinawakan mo ang taong infected regardless of the time, even if it's less than 15 minutes, you are considered as a direct contact. Third is direct care for a patient with a COVID-19 case without using PPE. And lastly, other situations as indicated by local risk assessments. Ito po ay assessment ng contact tracer from CHO or LGU, and pag na-assess nila na mataas yung risk mo, they will consider you as a direct contact even if you did not meet the 3 criteria. You can be tagged as a direct contact. In contact tracing, we can all be the solution. The goal here is a strong coordination between workplaces, occupational safety and healthy committee or staff, and the local contact tracing so we can achieve a speedy contact tracing. And lastly, we should keep this principle by heart. The basic principle here is if you are a direct contact and you are unwell and you think there's something wrong with your physical condition, please stay at home, self-monitor, do not report to the office, and coordinate with your healthcare provider or barangay health emergency response team. Okay, now let's move to support for rehabilitation, self-management after COVID-19 related illness. According to WHO and DOH, no tests are required to confirm recovery. Pag-uusapan naman po natin about recovering from COVID-19. Symptoms of COVID-19 can appear from 2 to 14 days after you've been exposed to the virus. Most people will recover within 1 to 2 weeks. More severe cases can take 6 weeks or more to recover. In mild cases, about 2 weeks po yung recovery time. Most people will feel they have a mild cold or other viral infection. Feeling nila palagi silang pagod, and recovery will include home care for symptoms, rest and isolation away from others. Paano mo masasabi na recovered ka na? You are fever-free without using fever-reducing medicine for 24 hours. Second is symptoms have improved. And last, 7 full days have passed since your symptoms appeared. Next is moderate cases, recovery time is 3 to 6 weeks. To recover, you will be in hospital for a few days. Hospital care may include oxygen. You may have chest pain and exercise intolerance if you have inflammation in your heart. Full recovery may take about a month or more, and the WHO recommends home isolation for at least 2 weeks after symptoms are gone. And yun naman pong mga critical cases, according to WHO, yung mga patient na nagkakaroon ng acute respiratory distress syndrome, gaya ng na-discuss ko po kanina, yung mga kinailangan ng mechanical ventilator support, ang recovery time nila is umaabot po hanggang 6 months. Next is managing breathlessness or paghihingal. It is common to experience breathlessness after being in hospital. Your breathlessness should improve as you slowly increase your activities and exercise. Pero dapat po, slowly, one at a time lang yung pag-increase ng activities natin, and bawal yung mga strenuous na klase ng exercise. Yung mga light exercise lamang, at mag-share po ako ng mga tips. First is high side lying. Lying on your side, prop up by pillows, supporting by your head and neck with your knees slightly bent. Next is forward lean sitting. Sitting at a table, lean forwards from the waist with your head and neck resting on the pillow and your arms resting on the table. You can also try this without the pillows. Next is forward lean sitting. No table in front. This is sitting on a chair, lean forwards to rest your arms on your lap or the armrest of the chair. Next is forward lean standing. While standing, lean forwards onto a windowsill or other stable surface. And the last one, standing with back support. Lean with your back against a wall and your hands by your side. Have your feet about a foot away from the wall and slightly apart. Next is controlled breathing. Ito ay klase ng breathing techniques. So, ang kailangan gawin is sit in a comfortable and supported position. Put one hand on your chest and other on your stomach. Slowly breathe in through your nose and then out through your mouth. Then as you breathe, you will feel the hand on your stomach rise more than the hand on your chest. Try to use a little effort as possible and make it slow, relaxed, and smooth. Next is exercising after leaving hospital. Exercise is an important part of recovery after a severe COVID-19 illness. Exercise can help to improve fitness, reduce breathlessness, increase muscle strength, improve balance and coordination, improve your thinking, reduce stress and improve mood, increase confidence and improve your energy. Exercise safely is important. These simple rules will help you exercise safely. First is always warm up before exercising and cool down after exercising. Wear loose, comfortable clothing and supportive shoes. Wait at least an hour after a meal before exercising. Drink plenty of water. Avoid exercising in very hot weather. Exercise indoors in very cold weather. If you feel any of the following symptoms, do not exercise or stop exercising and contact your healthcare professional. If you feel nausea or feeling sick, dizziness or lightheadedness, severe shortness of breath, clamminess or sweating, chest tightness, and increased pain. So it's important to exercise at the right level. To work out whether you are exercising at the right level, think about speaking a sentence. If you can speak the whole sentence without stopping and are not feeling breathless, then you can exercise harder. If you cannot speak at all or can only say a word at a time and are severely breathless, then you are exercising too hard. If you can speak a sentence, pausing once or twice to catch your breath and are moderately to almost severe breathless, then you are exercising at the right level. Remember that it is normal to feel breathless when you exercise and it is not harmful or dangerous. Gradually building your fitness can help you become less breathless. In order to improve your fitness, you should feel moderately to almost severely breathless when you exercise. Managing problems with your voice. Sometimes, people may have difficulties with their voice after being ventilated. Ito na po yung mga pasyenteng natubuan or nangailangan ng mechanical ventilator support during their treatment. First is keep talking when it is comfortable. You will need to keep using your voice to make progress. If you get tired while speaking, take breaks and let your friends and family members know that you need to pause and rest your voice during conversations. Second is do not strain your voice. Try not to raise your voice or shout. If you need to get someone's attention, try making a noise with an object. Then, it's important to take rest. If you run out of breath while talking, be careful not to work harder. Stop and sit calmly while focusing on your breathing. Then, use other ways of communicating such as writing, texting, or using gestures if taking it difficult or uncomfortable. Then, sip water throughout the day to help keep your voice working. Next is managing problems with attention, memory, and thinking clearly. It is important for you and your family to recognize if you are experiencing these difficulties as they can have an impact on your relationships, daily activities, and your return to work or education. First is physical exercise. It can help your brain to recover. It may be difficult if you are experiencing weakness, breathlessness, or fatigue. Try gradually introducing gentle exercise into your daily routine. Next is brain exercises. New hobbies or activities, puzzles, word and number, games, memory exercises, and reading may help. Start with brain exercises that challenge you but are achievable and increase the difficulty as you are able. This is important for keeping you motivated. Next is prompt yourself with lists, notes, and alerts such as phone alarms that can remind you things you need to do. Then break down activities into individual steps to avoid feeling overwhelmed. Okay. Next is managing stress, anxiety, or depression. Managing stress and feelings of anxiety and depression are therefore an important part of your overall recovery. So here are some simple things you can do. Get enough quality sleep, eating sufficiently and healthily, be physically active as this reduces stress and can reduce the chance of depression. Take small steps in gradually and safely increasing your physical activity. Then staying socially connected. It is important for you and your mental well-being. Talking with others can help to reduce the stress and may also help you in finding solution for challenges in your recovery journey. Then, do relaxing activities that do not make you too tired, like listening to music, reading, or spiritual practices. Then gradually increase your involvement in your daily activities or hobbies. Coping with stress during COVID-19. It is normal to feel sad, stressed, confused, scared, or angry during a crisis. Talking to people you trust can help. Contact your friends and family. If you must stay at home, maintain a healthy lifestyle including proper diet, sleep, exercise, and social contacts with loved ones at home and by email and phone with other family and friends. Don't use smoking, alcohol, or other drugs to deal with your emotion. If you feel overwhelmed, talk to a health worker or counselor. Have a plan where to go and how to seek help for physical and mental health needs if required. Get the facts. Gather information that will help you accurately determine your risk so that you can take reasonable precautions. Limit worry and agitation. Draw on skills you have used in the past that have helped you to manage previous life adversities and use those skills to help you manage your emotions during the challenging time of this outbreak.
If you're recovering from COVID-19, then you might be anxious to know if your recovery is normal. With such a new virus, there's a lot yet to discover, but we do know what others have experienced, like difficulty climbing the stairs, keeping a brisk walk, or keeping pace with other activities they used to enjoy. Whatever stage you're at, the good news is that there's a great deal you can do to help your body recover. Hint, it's not resting all day. Rest is crucial, but too much and you'll slow your recovery and lose muscle mass, increasing your risk of injury. Instead, physios recommend exercising little and often, and just aim to do a little better each time. For example, if you're right at the beginning of your recovery, grab a chair and practice sit-to-stand exercises, or take the stairs each step at a time, literally. Then, as your confidence grows, gently work your way towards something a bit more challenging. It's easy to lose track of your progress, so keep a record. And remember, if you're worried things just don't feel right, be sure to discuss your concerns with your physiotherapist or GP. Your body has been through an ordeal, and it's going to take time to get back to what you were. To learn more about how to help your recovery, click the link.
How to manage fatigue after COVID-19. After recovering from COVID-19, it can take some time to feel back to normal. One common symptom people feel after COVID-19 is prolonged fatigue. It might stem from the lingering immune response, or because the lungs and heart are still recovering. In general, good fatigue-fighting habits include getting enough sleep, staying hydrated, eating a well-balanced diet, managing stress, moving your body slowly. The key is to avoid overdoing it. Balance activity with rest and recovery. If activity feels good, add more a little at a time. If not, pull back and take it easy. Check with your doctor before resuming an exercise program. They can help you find the safest way to manage your fatigue and get you back to feeling like yourself again. The key message for this presentation that we should keep this principle by heart. Keep our workplaces healthy and safe by performing self-assessment, practice personal protective measures, follow workplace policies. Preventing and stopping the transmission of COVID-19 in the workplace begins at home, continue as we travel to and from work, and it is the responsibility of both employees and employers. We have to keep business going. The responsibilities in prevention will come from both employees and employers. Enabling environments are necessary component to workplaces being functional throughout this pandemic. Different workplaces will have different protective guidelines. There is no one size which fits all. So make it a habit to assess your risk. Remove the hazard, replace the hazard, isolate the hazard. Keep our workplaces healthy and safe. Our homes are our front lines. We are all frontliners in the fight against COVID-19. By Charles Darwin, it is not strongest of the species that survive, nor the most intelligent, but the one most responsive to change. So thank you very much for your unwavering attention throughout this presentation, and I hope that you've learned something from it.